Good day, good day, good day, good day, good day, and welcome to today's session. First and foremost, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, let us know in the chat where you are joining us from. If you're joining us live, let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. Whether you're on one platform or the other, let us know where you're joining us from. And for those of you who are here for the first time, a great big welcome to you guys for joining us on today's session. Now, today's session is quite impactful and exciting. I did share with you guys last week that you should stay tuned for today at 3 p.m. because I'm going to basically be sharing with you some very deep insights. So I hope you guys came ready. And for those of you who were with us last week, if you are ready for today's session, let me see in the chat the word ready so I know that you're ready to go. And if you're someone who's brand new, I want to say a great big welcome to you. My name is Samuel Kimwin. I am here to be your tour guide in terms of your property investment journey and show you how to move further faster in your property future. So with that being said, I'm going to start, guys, by sharing with us exactly what we covered in last week's session to give us a bit of an insight into where we're going to go today and how what we're covering today is extremely important and valuable as well. So for those of you who are ready, again, I said it a moment ago, I'm going to say it again. Let me see the word ready in the chat for those of you who are ready so we can start this journey and literally start to break down exactly what we're going to be covering in today's session. So let me see it in the chat for those of you who are ready. Let me see it in the chat for those of you who are ready. Let me see the word ready in the chat. All right. Now, for those of you who are with us, what we covered last week was a very interesting topic. We covered the topic of stewardship in property. And I specifically gave you guys what I call the stewardship strategy. I broke down all four components of that. So if you missed last week's session, what I want to encourage you to do is go back and tune into last week's session so you can have everything you need in order to succeed with regards to what we covered last week. Now, in this week, we're going to be talking about something completely different. We're going to be talking about something that most people are not even prepared for in their property journey. But before we do that, what I want to share with you guys is our success story that came to mind as I was preparing today's training. And today's training success story is actually James. A great big congratulations to James. So let's give him the round of applause as we usually do. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, so I wanted to give that round of applause and this segment of today's session to James specifically for his ability to win on a whole new level. Now, those of you who haven't heard of James or those of you who do not know James was one of our 5-day cash flow creation challenge students, right? And James joined our cash flow creation week, which is a whole week of immersive training where, yes, you can still work your full day job. And yes, you can still, do the things you usually do, the school run, whatever it is, which is on your current timetable. But whilst we do the cash flow creation week, what happens is we show you in our specific classes, and yes, we provide replays for those who missed the class live, but we show you in the specific class throughout that week how to have the science, how to have the strategies, how to have the skills, and how to ultimately have success as it pertains to property investment. So James went through this training. Now, one of the things that was immensely exciting about James's story is when James first joined our cash flow creation week, James had already invested £30,000 in different training with different organizations. Okay, he had been here, he'd been there, he'd been ultimately everywhere, right? And he'd invested this money to learn how to generate revenue. And his outcomes, his results as a result, when he was starting our cash flow creation week, was that he had 2 properties. And those 2 properties were generating him roughly around £600 per month each, right? So roughly, he was roughly around £1,200 a month, right? And he would do the odd other property thing, which would allow him to bump up that income to around £1,700 every now and then, okay? If you guys are with me, let me see in the chat, I'm with you, so I know that you guys understand what we're talking about. So James decided to join our cash flow creation week, and having gone through the cash flow creation week and literally going to his next level, what James was able to do was take those exact same 2 properties that he already owned. Okay, I'm going to say this again, and this is the reason why it excites me in regards to what we're going to be talking about today in today's session. He took the same 2 properties he already owned and was able to implement a specific strategy that we showed him over that period of time in order to maximize his revenue and take his income from the original £1,700 per month to a whopping £5,500 per month. And the reason James came to mind as I was considering his story and preparing for today's session was literally because James was able to take the strategy, which looks very similar to what I'm going to be outlining for you guys today, get detailed and granular with it, and create a transformation. All right. Now, the problem for most people is they focus only on information. Some people take a step further and join classes like this to get that information with a form of organization. But very few people, those people that me and you see win, pick up the trophies, lift up the trophies, be the success stories, they're the people that go further than just getting the information. They're the people that go further than just getting the organization, but they're the people that go and get the transformation. So I want to encourage you, if you're tuned in to this particular session and you're getting value from this session, yes, be the person who comments. Yes, be the person who takes notes. Yes, be the person who has your notepad, iPad, tablet, stylus, and everything you need in order to succeed. But ultimately, also, be that individual, be that person who's going to take that next step to not just get the information nor the organization, but to ultimately also get that transformation. And if you're making that commitment today to be that person, just write in the comments, I'm going to the next level. Let me see that in the chat. I'm going to the next level as we jump deeper into today's session. Another round of applause for James. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, guys. So with that being shared now, what we're going to do is we're going to specifically share what we're going to be covering in today's session. And I'm extremely excited about today's session. Today's session, we're going to be talking about the Noah strategy. All right, you need to write that down for those of you who like titles. The Noah strategy. And most of you know about Noah, or you might have seen the Denzel Washington movie or Russell Crowe movie. I have no idea who was in the movie. That's how you know I'm really not good at this. And I've probably just mixed up Denzel and Russell Crowe because of the whole new Gladiator movie that's coming out. And yeah, guys, I'm not a movie buff, so please excuse me. But there was a movie which was all around Noah, right? And it wasn't even around Noah, because if you read the Bible, you realize that it was completely different, right? So, and that's what I've just done. I just realized it. I think the Book of Enoch was the movie that Denzel was in, and then Russell Crowe was in the Noah movie. Yes, I got there in the end, right? So guys, you might have seen one of the movies and thought, okay, I understand what happened here, right? But for those of us who actually read the Bible, we understand that it's completely different to what they publicize in the movies or in the media. And when we read the story of Noah, we understand and find a specific unique strategy. And that specific unique strategy is what I want to share with you on today's session. I want you to be equipped in order to have a resilient property portfolio. So in today's session, what we're going to be talking about is building your property portfolio arc. Okay? So for those of you who want titles and subtitles, it's the Noah strategy, and it's building your property portfolio arc. And we're going to be doing this specifically because this is going to equip you to be at the highest level as it pertains to utilizing your property investments to help you move further faster in your future. So this is what we're going to be talking about. So the key element in building your property portfolio arc is literally building a resilient property portfolio. A resilient property portfolio. Let me even earmark this, right? Because what I want us to understand is that the ark that we are familiar with Noah having built, okay, effectively, that same ark, let me give you guys the board so you can see what I'm talking about. The ark that Noah was able to build, that same ark is a depiction of a resilient vessel, okay? A resilient collection of assets. So for example, Noah had a collection of animals on the ark. What we are doing is we're building a resilient vessel, which is a portfolio. Let me put that in here so you understand what I'm talking about. And our portfolio will have a collection of assets as well, but they won't be animals, they will be properties. Okay, if anyone can see that connection instantly, like, oh wow, Samuel, I get it now. Okay, this is exactly what we're going to be doing. So the same way Noah had this collection of animals inside of his ark, we are going to have a collection of properties inside of our portfolio. Now, just so it's clear, some of those properties may be properties where, for example, they are not owned by you or I. They may be properties that you are controlling, okay? Just as an example, I want you guys to see exactly what we're talking about here. Some of those properties may be properties that are owned, okay? And this is why it's important to understand exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it so you can take full advantage of this process for yourself, okay? So you can take exactly a full advantage of this. Now, what do I want to elaborate and expand on before I even go deeper into this session? It's this point here. You see, when we think about the Noah strategy, we're talking about strategies for building a resilient property portfolio. A property portfolio where whether the market is up, for those of you who saw the session we did on Joseph's strategy, whether the market is up or whether the market is down, the trends are not going to determine how you succeed in your property investment journey. And this is the key. And this is why when we talk about the Noah strategy, we're talking about a strategy that comes together, culminates with aspects and elements so that regardless of market conditions, we can be in the best position. If this is what someone is looking for, just write in the comments, I am, so I can see that this is exactly what you guys are interested in building. Now, with that being said, this is going to bring us to that point where we start to deep dive into exactly what I want to show you guys, because I want you guys to be prepared to be able to do this. Now, there's multiple elements. There are multiple elements that come together in the Noah strategy, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read from the Bible specifically. We're going to Genesis 6:22, okay? We're going to go to Genesis chapter 6, verse 22. And I'm going to read one key core component. Now, for those of you who want to go deeper, what I'm going to advise you to do is read the book of Genesis, specifically chapter 6, yourself in your own time. That might be like your mini homework for today's session. So read Genesis chapter 6 for yourself, that chapter, okay? But I'm going to read specifically verse 22 because I want to pull out a key element which I think is fundamental for all of us to find this particular strategy, okay? So as we go through Genesis chapter 6, we read about how, I'm going to read Genesis chapter 6 verse 1 just to bring us into the context. I'll share the context and then we'll jump to verse 22. Genesis chapter 6 verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born unto them. Okay, and it goes on to say, look, the world is getting heavily populated from Genesis chapter 1 where God created Adam and Eve. And as the world's getting heavily populated, people start to become increasingly more and more evil. People start to do increasingly more and more wicked things. And the Bible starts to break down that as these things are taking place, what happens is God says, hold on a minute, I don't want to have a world full of evil people. I want to make a reset take place. Now, I don't know if you're into martial arts or anything like that, but if you're someone who's into martial arts or fighting or those kind of things, I know Anthony Joshua recently just had an amazingly massive fight with Daniel Dubois, okay? So these kind of things happen in our world, whether it's for entertainment or training or whatever, right? But usually when you have some form of martial arts and you engage in some way, if you feel like you're not doing what you should be doing, there's a time where you do what we call a reset. You reset yourself. You reset yourself, okay? You might be inside of a bout. You might be in a sparring match. You might be in a real fight. And you get to a point where you say, you know, this ain't working. So you know what you do? You reset. So this is similar to what God describes himself doing. He said, I'm going to reset the world. I'm going to reset the earth. I'm going to start again. And what he does is he decides to engage Noah for Noah's services, Noah's building services, all right? Just like you and I are being engaged for our ability to build right now, okay? To build our communities, to build our families, to build financial freedom, okay? So Noah's now given a blueprint, a framework, a strategy in order to build the ark. And this is why today's session is so key, because this is what we're talking about. We're talking about our own proverbial ark. Now, Noah had an ark, which was a collection of animals, which was a resilient vessel. Now, we're building resilient vessels in terms or in forms of our portfolio, but it's not going to have a collection of animals. It's going to have a collection of properties, okay? So I want you guys to see that. So we fast forward to verse 22. God's given Noah the outline. God's given Noah the measurements. God's given Noah the whole framework and formula and system and sequence. And here we see, I'm going to read from verse 20. Of fowls after their own kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive. Listen to this, 21. And take you unto thee of all food that is eaten, and you shall gather it to yourself, and it shall be for food for you and for them. Here's verse 22, which is the key verse I want to share with you guys. Thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him, so did he. I'm going to read that one more time. Thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him, so did he. Now, why am I sharing Genesis 6:22 as a key influential verse in terms of me sharing with you guys the Noah strategy for today's session? It's very simple. As we go forward in today's session, guys, you can be one of those people who say, you know what Samuel shared is really interesting. I like it, okay? And that's great. It won't help you. You can be another group of people who say, you know what, I'm not really listening. I'm kind of tuned in, but I'm kind of tuned into other things. And guess what? It won't help you. But you see, in Noah's situation specifically, it said, and thus did Noah everything that God had commanded him, so did he. Now, why am I sharing this? Because in life, there are people who are going, like Noah, to make things happen. But they're not the only people out there. Because there's also people who aren't going to make things happen. They're going to instead just watch things happen. And one day in your life, you are going to have to make the decision of whether you're going to be the kind of person who watches things happen or makes things happen. And then there's also another group of people. And that group of people are the people that I call basically lost, because they're the people that say, what happened? And again, like I've shared, you have to make a decision, at least in one day in your life, whether you're going to be one of those people who just say what happened when you see other people who are making things happen, or if you're going to be one of those people who watch things happen whilst other people make things happen, or whether, just like Noah, you're going to be one of those people who make things happen, just like what we're going to break down in today's session. So let's start building this arc for you guys, so you guys can start to understand what this arc entails and how it's going to help you. Now, to start with, this particular arc that we're going to be building out, I want to show you all 3 layers, and then I'm going to show you the 4th attachment, and then I'm going to show you the 5th eventuality. All right, so there are how many parts inside of the Noah strategy that I'm going to be sharing with you guys? Someone tell me in the chat how many parts are inside of the Noah strategy I'm going to be sharing with you guys. Now, let's just start with look at the base of the Noah strategy, okay? Now, the base of the Noah strategy is a powerful thing. It's a powerful concept that many of us need to learn. And most people in property don't apply this, which is why I'm talking about it, okay? What happens with most people in property is they buy one property, let's say a buy-to-let 3-bedroom house, then they buy another property, let's say a buy-to-let 3-bedroom house, and they just continue doing that, okay? And that's not even most people. That's most sophisticated people, right? If I talk about most people are what we call an accidental landlord, okay? Accidental landlord. This is most people, okay? And I'm going to tell you this story. I don't have the time, but I'm going to tell you this story, okay? So this is going to help you understand what an accidental landlord is. And for those of you who really want to deep dive, or if you find yourself putting your hand up saying, hey, Samuel, that's me, you're talking about me, I'm an accidental landlord. If that's you, what I want to encourage you to do at the end of today's session, I'm going to talk about a way that you can get out of being an accidental landlord very simply by being a part, just like James, of our cash flow creation week, our upcoming cash flow creation week. Now, here's an accidental landlord. Let me explain the story, right? So let's say this is a guy called, let's call him Adam, right? So this is Adam. Now, the funniest thing about Adam is Adam owns a 1-bedroom flat, okay? And let's say he owns this in London, okay? Now, Adam is 22 years old, just finishing his master's, about to go into the corporate world. And he meets another student, okay? Adam meets another student. Adam meets another student, and let's say this student, her name is Eve, okay? Let's do it that way, right? So Adam meets Eve. Now, Adam's doing his master's. Let's say he's an accountant. He's doing his master's in accountancy. He meets Eve, another student who's doing her master's in accountancy. And Eve just so happens to own a 2-bedroom flat in London, okay? Now, here's what happens. Adam and Eve end up going to work. Let's pick one of the big 4. They go and work in KPMG, okay? They both get jobs in KPMG after they finish their degrees, okay? And whilst they're in KPMG, Adam is on, let's say, 60,000, okay? Eve is on, let's say, 62,000, okay? So they're making some good revenue, right? And here's what happens. Here's what happens, which is interesting. Adam and Eve, who've known each other from university, gone and both worked in KPMG, they decide to get married. They decide, you know what, we like each other, we're good friends, we understand each other on a very deep level, you know what, let's get married. So Adam and Eve decide to get married. Now, here's the interesting thing when they decide to get married. When Adam and Eve decide to get married, what they then do is they both move in to Adam's 1-bedroom apartment, okay? So now Adam and Eve, let's get it. All right, now Adam and Eve are both living in the one-bedroom apartment. And then they say two statements, okay? They say two statements. And these two statements are two of the funniest statements I've ever heard, but these two statements are vitally important to help you guys understand how things work, right? So Adam and Eve go and make these two statements. Here's the first statement. The first statement is, we have a spare house. That's the first statement Adam and Eve make. We have a spare house. Here's the second statement they make. We are property investors. Okay? Now, I am apologizing in advance for blowing and breaking their bubble, but Adam and Eve in this example are not property investors. What Adam and Eve are exactly what I highlighted earlier to you guys. Adam and Eve are not property investors. What Adam and Eve are accidental landlords. This is what they are. They're accidental landlords. Why are they accidental landlords? Because they never purchased either of these properties with the sole purpose for those properties to generate them revenue. They never purchased those properties strategically with the sole goal to become landlords or to generate revenue from those properties. So by virtue of them saying they've got a spare house, they are actually property investors. No, they've made a mistake. They've got a spare house. Yes, they're right. But actually, they're accidental landlords. And if you resonate with that, if you say to yourself, Sammy, you know, I've never heard that before, you're absolutely correct. I'm an accidental landlord and I never even knew. I'm here to tell you that the fastest way to transition from being an accidental landlord is to actually get adequate insights and training so you can move further faster in your property investment journey. Okay? So that's just a quick insight to help you. Now, because most property investors are buying vanilla properties exactly the same again and again, or because most people who own property, like the Adam and Eves of this world, are basically accidental landlords, the first thing that is very uncomfortable for many people to do, but is essential to do in order for you to build your property portfolio arc, is to diversify. You need to start by focusing on diversification of property types. Okay? Don't just look at one property type. Don't just look at one way to get property or acquire property. Be the person who recognizes, you know what, I need to look at differing and varying property types. I can't just look at the same property type over and over again. This is one of the fastest ways that people end up with struggles and problems in their property portfolios. Why? They do not diversify. They only focus on vanilla buy-to-lets rather than saying, well, hold on a minute, let me go for a mixed-use property. Hold on a minute, let me go for a commercial property. Hold on a minute, let me diversify my portfolio. If you guys understand that, just write in the chat, I do, so I know I'm speaking to the right people today. All right, let's go deeper. So diversification of property types is the base level of building your property portfolio arc, okay? Let's go to the next level, okay? So after you diversify, there's more to it, okay? It doesn't stop there. Someone say in the chat, it doesn't stop there. There's more. You have to diversify your acquisition property types, okay? And once you diversify, what's going to happen is you're going to be exposed to other ways of doing things. You're going to be exposed to other ways of seeing things. You're going to be exposed to other ways of doing things, seeing things, and actually presenting things. Okay? Why? Because different assets in different asset classes produce different results. Okay? And they take different things to produce those different results. So build upon itself. Start by diversifying your property types. Okay. Now, after you diversify your property types, I did this for a number of years in my networking event. Okay. So I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing because this will help you massively in your property investment journey, right? So after you engage in diversification of property types, the next thing I'm going to encourage you to do is start to develop. Okay. You want to be developing a network of partners and talented professionals. Okay? You want to start developing a network of talented professionals. And I'm being told that my time is being fast spent. Guys, this is how I know I'm going in today, right? Developing a network of partners and talented professionals. Start building up your database of people you're working with. Start building up the network of people that you know you can add value to and also get value through, okay? Let's go deeper, so I'm not slowing us down, right? So then there's the next level of your property portfolio arc that we're going to continue to build, okay? So the next level, after you've diversified in different property types, after you started to develop a network of partners, okay, you're going to start doing something that most people never do. You're going to start implementing risk management strategies, okay? You start implementing risk management strategies. You start putting into your portfolio things that are going to help you, assist you, support you to overcome risk. Now, the interesting thing is the side to this that I'm going to share with you guys is going to help you to do that. But even though it's going to help you to do that, it's a side. Why? Because it's something you're supposed to be doing all the way through this process. It's something you're supposed to be building throughout this whole process, right? And that is building cash flow reserves, okay? Building cash flow reserves. Now, throughout the process, whilst you're diversifying on property types, you should be building a form of cash flow reserves. Whilst you develop up into developing a network of professionals and also talented people, what you should be doing, and partners, what you should be doing is developing a cash flow set of reserves. And whilst you're implementing risk management strategies, you should be doing all of this to help you build cash flow reserves. Now, why is this so important? Because I know for years I didn't do this. I didn't do this second side part. Why? Because you can build a diversified property portfolio and not build cash flow reserves, okay? You can develop a network of partners and talented professionals and not build cash flow reserves. You can go further and even implement risk management strategies and not build cash flow reserves. This is vitally important, and this is why I'm going to stress it, and it's something we should be doing all the way through the process. Now, here's the beautiful thing about this. As you start to develop your own proverbial arc in property investment with your property portfolio, something phenomenal is going to happen for you, okay? Something phenomenal is going to happen for you. And I'm going to show you exactly what happens when you start doing this, okay? When you start doing this, all of this starts to do something absolutely profound for you and I. Something that most people very rarely think about and very rarely understand is a possibility in your property investment journey. And what is that? And what that is this allows you to construct cash flow in a completely different way. Not in the way that most people are doing it. Not in the way that most people have tried it. This allows you to construct cash flow in a way that is absolutely phenomenal, okay? Now, it allows you to construct cash flow in varied market conditions. And this is what everybody wants. Everybody wants to be able to know when things are good or when things are bad, I'm still developing, I'm still building what I have. And the only way you can get to that place is if you start to do exactly what we've shown you here. You start by diversification of your property types. You transition into developing relationships with absolutely great partners and also with talented professionals. And then straight after you start doing that, you get to that place where you're now implementing the actual risk management strategies that protect your wealth, protect your assets. And all the while, whilst doing all of that, you want to be building cash flow reserves. And the moment you start implementing those 4 core components of the strategies, you put yourself in a fantastic position to be able to start constructing cash flow in varied market conditions. If the market goes way high, guess what? You're still constructing and developing and delivering cash flow into your portfolio. If the market tanks and goes down, values of properties literally hit the floor, you're okay. Why? Because you've set things up through the risk management strategies, through the development of the network and partners and talented professionals, through the diversification of your property types, and through the building of cash reserves throughout the whole process. You set things up so you can continue to construct cash flow in every kind of varied market. It doesn't matter what the market conditions are, you are still going to win. If this has been helpful for someone, just put in the chat helpful so I know that this has been super helpful for you. Now, At this point, we typically bring up the questions that the team have shared that you guys have said you desire to have asked or answered. And our questions for today's session, we've got 3 of them. We've got 3 questions in today's session. Let me read those questions out. Okay, question 1 for today's session is how can I buy, question A, because you guys have to vote A, B, or C. Question A is how can I buy different kinds of properties to keep my money safe? Like Noah put different animals on his ark, all right? So how can I buy different kinds of properties to keep my money safe like Noah put different animals on the ark? Question B, and guys, if you want me to answer any of these 3 questions, the question that you want me to answer the most, just put an A for the first question A, a B if you want me to answer question B, or a C in the chat, in the comments. Those of you live, right? Those of you who are joining us on the replay, you can still also vote, but your vote won't count to today's actual question answering because I'm gonna answer what the people in the live session have requested. But again, question B is how can I save up money from my properties to use them when times get tough? I really like that question. All right, so maybe it's going to be question B today, but let's go, right? And guys, you guys can vote. The poll will come up on the screen as you guys start voting, so you guys can vote as well. A for question A, B for question B. Let's read question C. Question C says, who are the helpers I can trust to give me good advice about property like how God helped Noah? I actually really like that question as well, right? So they're the 3 questions. I'm going to read them again. You guys can vote inside of the comments. If you're joining us live on YouTube, you can vote inside of the YouTube comments A, B, or C. If you're joining us live in Facebook, you can comment inside of the chat, again, A, B, or C, and just let us know which of those specific questions you want us to answer. Do you want us to answer question A? Do you want us to answer question B? Or do you want us, there we go, I can speak. Or do you want us to answer question C? Let us know. Question A, how can I buy different kinds of properties to keep my money safe like Noah put different animals on his ark? How can I save up money from my properties to use when times get tough? That's question B. And question C, who are the helpers I can trust to give me good advice about property like how God helped Noah? I love that. I love that. I love that. I think these are some really powerful and pertinent questions. All right. I'm seeing the comments in the UK. I'm with you. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. All right, guys. So let us know in the chat which question you want us to answer, A, B, or C. I thought I was going to go with A. I thought I was going to go with B, but I'm now looking at C and I'm thinking C actually looks like a much better question. And you guys have to vote, so you guys let me know in the comments which one you want me to answer, right? So guys, I want you to remember one of the concepts, especially when it comes to partnership, especially when it comes to connecting with other people, and it's a quote that I share with people a lot of the time, and it's one brings the insight, another brings the income. Okay, one brings the insight, another brings the income. And I'm just sharing this with you as you start to think about that specific layer inside of this process of the Noah's Ark strategy that I shared with you guys a moment. When you start to think about developing a network, if you're someone who's already diversified in your property types, but you want to move to that next level, well, start to think about developing a network of partners and talented professionals. If you're someone who's already developed a network of partners and talented professionals, and you want to go to implementing risk management strategies, well, now what you need to start thinking about is what assets do you have to protect, okay? So there's a specific key question at each of these levels, and these are the kind of things that we cover in our 5-day cash flow creation week. So if that's something of interest to you, we'll share with you guys in a moment how you can get involved in that. So I want you to think about this. As you go through this process at these different layers, there is a core question to ask at each level, all right? So make sure you know which core question you're going to ask at each level to yourself. All right, so the 3 questions are on the board, and here's the one we're going to answer. We're going to answer C. Who are the helpers I can trust to give me good advice about property like how God helped Noah? Who are those helpers that you could trust to give you good advice about properties just like how God helped Noah? And I think that is an absolutely fantastic question. So because of that, we're going to jump straight into that question. Now, here's the answer to that question. They're helpers that you can literally connect with. They're helpers that you can literally work with. They're helpers that can help you move further faster in your future in property are 3 characteristics of people. I'm going to share with you who those 3 characteristics of people are so you can literally have all of these characteristics of people working with you. Now, first characteristic of these helpers, okay, is that they are people that resonate with you. Okay? What do I mean by resonate with you? Well, here's something, right? If you're listening to someone talk and for no apparent reason, you just feel like, you know what, my spirit doesn't take to this person. Or you feel like, you know what, there's something, there's a barrier, there's a block here, okay? What I'd encourage you to do is dig into that. Start to explore what that is. Why is that person's energy not matching with yours? Why is that person's frequency not the same as yours, okay? Start to engage in that. Now, sometimes it might be because they are where you need to be, okay? But sometimes it might be because they are not the people for me, all right? I want you to understand that. And they're the two paths, right? People that resonate with you, sometimes they may be different because they are where you need to be, okay? That can be the case. And sometimes that is the case. Sometimes we don't resonate with people because they're where we need to be. We need to get onto their page, okay? That happens. We see it in the Bible with Elijah and Elisha. But sometimes your discernment is actually kicking in. And the reason why certain people don't resonate with you is because they are not the people for me or for you, okay? Okay? And I want you to realize this. Because the moment you realize this, guess what happens? You stop chasing after people who aren't for you. You recognize, you know what, we don't resonate. You know what, there's something, there's a misalignment, not an alignment for my assignment. So you get out of that. Okay? So you get out of that. So that's the first thing. If you're looking for people to help you the same way God helped Noah, you want to look for people that resonate with you. What do I mean by that? Well, God knows everyone and God knows everything. So God knows how to speak to you in a way that you're going to connect with it. So this is what I mean by it resonates with you. Okay, it resonates with you. And that's even if God's using other people to speak to you specifically. So that's the first one. They have to resonate with you. Now, here's number two I want you to think about, okay? They have, let me not even write the they have part. Let me just write what it is, okay? The second part is you want to see shared values. Okay? Shared values. Now, this is something I spoke to a community about last weekend, which was very quite profound and impactful, but I just really needed to share it with them for them to be equipped. There are people out there who do not have shared values with you. So, for example, one of my values is I don't swear. Why? Because the Bible says that a mouth that speaks evil can't be the same mouth that speaks good, right? So I do not swear, and I've stopped swearing from about the age of 19. Now, why is this so important that for the last 2 decades, Samuel has not used his mouth for profanity? I'm going to tell you why. Because I have shared values with certain people. So if there's a coach out there who uses profanity, I'm not going to play their profanity in the ears of my children. I'm not going to play their profanity in my own ears. I'm not going to play their profanity through my mind so they can go through one of my ears and get stuck before they come out of the other. I'm not going to put myself willingly in that predicament. Why? Because they're not my values. Okay, I hope someone's getting this. So you want to look for people who have shared values with yourself. You want to look for people who not only resonate with you, but have shared values. Now, here's the third one where I think a lot of people make a mistake, okay? So this is why I'm going to share this with you. If you're looking for people who can help you the same way God helped Noah by giving that guidance, giving that insight, giving that thought process and framework, the third thing is they have to be someone who can teach, coach, or mentor. And here's the key word, effectively. Okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, this is very simple. It's probably my favorite out of all three because it's the one I see people make the most mistakes with. Now, what do you mean, Samuel? They have to be able to teach, coach, or mentor effectively. What I mean is when they teach you something, okay? When they share something with you, when they coach you on something, it can't be like becomes that rocket science. Oh, this is so confusing. Every time this person opens their mouth, my brain decides to sit down. Every time this person opens their mouth, my brain goes on holiday. Like, it has to be the opposite. It has to be, when this person speaks, it just drops in like a slot machine. It's like they just put the money and the money just cha-ching, drops in my jukebox. And then I can start playing the tune. I want you guys to understand that these are 3 core characteristics as you're looking for people to work with. They have to be people, in my opinion, that resonate with you. They have to be people who have shared values. They have to be people that can teach, coach, or mentor effectively. Otherwise, it's just not worth your time. Guys, if you're getting value from today's session, let me see in the chat the word value for those of you who are getting value from today's session and also from the answer to our question. Now, for those of you who are ready to go, next week is going to be an absolutely amazing show. next week, Wednesday at 3 p.m., we're going to be talking about how you can literally start to maximize your return on investment, how you can literally start to maximize the talents that you have. That's next week's session. So for those of you who are looking forward to that, I'm looking forward to adding value to you guys through means of that session. Now, what I want you guys to do right now is write in the comments, in the chat, your key takeaway from today's session. What stood out to you the most? What have you heard and been like, you know what, Samuel, I needed to hear that today. Samuel, that was for me. Samuel, without that key, without that principle, you know what, I would have felt lost today. But because you gave me that little sprinkling of a nugget, I'm equipped to move further faster in my future. So for whatever it is, whatever your key takeaway was from today's session, if you're watching live, throw it in the live chat. If you're watching this on a replay, throw it in the comments below. Let us know what your key takeaway was. Now, with all of that being said, for those of you who have said to yourself today, Samuel, you know what? I identify with exactly what you was talking about. I've discovered I am an accidental landlord. For those of you who are saying, you know what, Samuel, I've seen everything you've broken down in today's session and I'm absolutely loving it. And I feel that you are someone who can teach me effectively. And I would like to go further, faster, and learn more. I'm going to encourage you to go and join our cash flow creation challenge. Okay, our next up and coming cash flow creation week is literally around the corner. So go and scan the barcode on the screen right here, or side by side with that. There we go. The slides decided to go off right there. Okay, I'm going to encourage you guys to go scan the barcode right there, as you can see, or side by side with that. If you're not going to scan the barcode, use the website link that is there. That is cashflowcreationchallenge.com, cashflowcreationchallenge.com. And that's going to help you to be able to move further, faster in your future by literally taking the science, the strategies, the skills, the systems, and all of the sequences in order for you to have cash flow creation success. Now, with that being said, guys, you saw the barcode. Feel free to scan the barcode or use the website cashflowcreationchallenge.com. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at the top, not from the top. So good day, God bless, and I'll see you next week on our next session. Take care, guys.